Congressman Schiff, do you have any other evidence about what happened in that car?
I can't comment on other evidence or testimony before the committee. All I can say is that I found Cassidy Hutchinson to be a thoroughly credible witness, telling us what she saw, what she heard. She was very careful to differentiate when she was a participant in the conversation or actions were related to her by others. She was careful to tell us what she didn't know. And as a former prosecutor, to me, those are all indicia of reliability and credibility as a witness. So I found her account, very, very credible. I also thought, frankly, of all of her testimony, what was most important, I found most shocking, is the president's acknowledgement that, or his understanding that these people in the mob were armed. And when he was told they're armed and they're potentially dangerous, his response was take down the magnetometers, that he wanted this armed group to be able to march with him to the Capitol, that they weren't there to hurt him. And later in the White House, when he was in a position of safety and was told that they were chanting "Hang Mike Pence," his response was basically "Pence deserves it." To me, as a former prosecutor and as a just plain citizen, that is the most shocking revelation about the president.
The Secret Service issued a statement tonight saying that they are fully cooperating with the committee and they will provide any evidence and any testimony the committee wants. Is that a new posture for the Secret Service, or have they been cooperating all along?
Well, the Secret Service is not monolithic, so some elements might be cooperating, some might be refusing. But look, we are interested in having anyone willing to come in that has relevant information to come and share that information under oath about what they saw, what they said, and we would welcome any testimony by relevant parties.
What do you think is the single most important piece of evidence that the committee received today in this testimony?
I really do think it was the president basically saying if these people are armed, he's okay with that because he felt that mob was not there to hurt him. Those were his people. And his response was take away the magnetometers. It was made clear to the president that it's not that there was a long line at the metal detector. It's that people wouldn't go through it because they'd have to give up their weapons. Indeed, people that had gone through it did have to give up their weapons. And he was okay with that. And he still wanted that armed mob to march with him to the Capitol. He was indignant when he couldn't go to the Capitol. It was furious. And to me, when we're looking at what is the intent of the president, what is the knowledge of the president about the danger of that crowd, the fact that he knew it was armed, the fact that he knew that it was not a danger to him, but was a danger to others, and still persisted in wanting it to march to the Capitol, even when his own White House counsel is saying that this might violate any number of laws. To me, that is the most among the most damning things that we've heard.
What does your investigation show about what Donald Trump was going to actually do when he arrived at the Capitol?
Well, I think it's a bit unclear. It's, from Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony, I think there were a number of possibilities of what he might do when he got to the Capitol. And part of the challenge, I think, was his staff, the White House counsel, among others, was vigorously resisting that effort. So I don't know how much he had gotten to a final plan about what would happen. You could tell from Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony that the Republican leader in the House, Kevin McCarthy, was concerned about him marching to the Capitol and needed to be assured that it wasn't going to take place. So even the leader of his party in the House was desperately concerned about what he might do.
What are you hoping that the Justice Department took note of in today's hearing?
Well, particularly the president's knowledge and his intention. The fact that he knew this crowd was armed, that he was still willing to march with it, that the tool that might have been used to disarm the crowd, the magnetometers, he wanted them taken down. That, to me, is very, very telling, as well as his reaction when he's informed that the crowd is signaling their intention to hang his own vice president. The other evidence that the Justice Department has heard relating to other people, other participants, those on the ground, this is the first testimony that goes right to the president, his state of mind, what he knew and when he knew it, and his intention to go forward nonetheless. So to me, that would be very significant. Hard for the Justice Department to look away from that. Hard for the Justice Department to, I think, justify not investigating the President of the United States. And up until this point, we've seen no sign that they're investigating the former president.
At the end of the hearing, we heard Cassidy Hutchinson tell us that her boss, Mark Meadows, requested a pardon and that Rudy Giuliani requested a pardon. What does that tell you about Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows?
Well, considering that the White House counsel, Pat Cipollone, who, by the way, I wish would show the same courage that Cassidy Hutchinson just showed, but considering that he was warning that if they went forward with this march to the Capitol, that, they might be brought up on any kind of charges. It certainly puts in context Mark Meadows, who knew the president's plan and evidently didn't try to stop him, was worried about his own culpability and liability. And of course, Rudy Giuliani had ample reason to be worried about his criminal exposure. The same mixture of emotions, I guess, for the last 5 years. On the one hand, totally shocked. On the other hand, not at all surprised that the president's own chief of staff would be interested in a pardon and his own principal lawyer would be interested in the same.
Is it possible that the Justice Department has not tried to enforce your committee's subpoena on Mark Meadows because Mark Meadows is the subject of a criminal investigation by the Justice Department?
It is possible. I would like to believe that that is the case. I am skeptical, though, that that's the reason. That may change, however. That may not have been the reason initially for them to decline, if that's what they've done, to prosecute. But that doesn't mean that they haven't now found sufficient evidence to warrant the investigation of Mr. Meadows.
Why was this hearing suddenly scheduled, and how much does it have to do with Cassidy Hutchinson changing lawyers from a lawyer closely aligned with Donald Trump to a lawyer not aligned with Donald Trump?
Well, certainly her changing of counsel may have been a significant development, but I don't think that was an issue in terms of the timing of our hearing. I think the timing was more a function of the urgency of getting this information out to the public, the urgency of responding to potential intimidation of witnesses in our investigation, and the need to make a strong statement that we will push back and take strong action against any threat or effort to intimidate our witnesses, and a desire by the committee to be able to make public use of the evidence she provided to pursue other leads, to encourage other people to come forward. That had more to do with the timing than anything to do with counsel.
To the point of intimidating witnesses, was the point of doing this publicly today to let the people know who you believe are intimidating witnesses, that you know who they are and what they're doing?
It was certainly, I think, one part of the purpose of our presentation today, and that is to put people on notice that if they try to intimidate witnesses, that they face potential criminal liability for doing so, and they need to know that we're aware of their actions and that others that might be inclined to try to influence witness testimony need to know how seriously the committee will take those actions.